So just a little bit about myself. So Mark Edwards, I'm a partner solution architect. It's a bit confusing what I do, but basically what I really do is work with partners. When I work with customers, it's through a partner. So, Elegance is one of my partners that I work with. And the idea is that working with a partner obviously is a great benefit to yourselves as customers. But, my job is to make sure that as Elegance progress through either its pre-sales or post-sales, that the work that they're doing, aligns with our strategy as well. And, I help them along. My other kind of side role is I directly work with product. We have, I can't even remember the number now, it's in the hundreds of developers just looking at Jira Service Management. Right? So that is my focus. Although we have Jira and Confluence, etc., I'm quite selfish. I don't really care about those tools, all those products. Or as you might have seen, we've actually changed everything to apps now. So it's no longer products, we call them apps. JSM is my passion. I love the solution. I love what our partners and our customers can do with it. And today what I'll do is I'll take you through a little bit of enterprise service management. That's another passion of mine. Just talking about ITSM. Most companies talk about ITSM. We try not to do that. ITSM's been around a long time. How do we move companies through an ESM journey, so an enterprise service management journey? And obviously that involves ITSM, right? But there's so much more that you can actually do with our solutions, and it is really, really scalable. So I'll take you through some of that. All right, so I think it's good to start off with where we're going. All right, so who's heard of the system of work? A couple of people, besides the EG people. A couple of people, right? So it's our philosophy. It's not a tool or a thing, it's our philosophy. It's how we've kind of over time developed all of our solutions that are in the Atlassian platform, and then trying to look at how we use all of those solutions together as part of a system of work. You want to be able to align things, align work to goals. You want to be able to plan and track work. You want to be able to unleash knowledge. Part of JSM, most of the time, is unleashing knowledge. We talked about how Xero is looking at knowledge management. I'll show you some of the things we're trying to do around that, around AI. But knowledge management is something that is, if you look at how you're going to use AI in the future, and most companies are looking at it, blatantly, if you've got crap in the knowledge base, right? It's crap in, crap out, right? You're not going to have the desired effect from AI if what you've got in your knowledge base and in your knowledge is not good. AI can certainly help, but it's not the silver bullet, right? You have to do some work in that regard. And then obviously make AI part of every team. How do you do that? How do you make sure that AI is helping every team, not just IT? I quite like this slide, although it's fairly busy, but we look at sort of this journey across what do all our solutions actually do? As part of JSM, and it looks at Jira and Confluence as well. But you're looking obviously where we started as Atlassian was obviously in the development space. As you move across into different teams, how does that actually work? What value are you getting out of all those solutions? So, true DevOps. Most people talk about DevOps, but it's not that easy to actually do. And JSM does obviously assist with that. So you've got Jira, you've got JSM. Everything runs on top of one platform. So that makes things a lot easier. We have native integration between our solutions. So be able to do true DevOps is hugely easier on our platform. Whether you're taking a change that occurs or a developer needs to submit a change as part of a CI/CD pipeline, and that goes through a CI/CD pipeline directly as a change into JSM, through a gating process for approvals. Being able to do those type of work really makes, to be honest, developers a lot happier, because developers, we know, do not like to log changes, right? That's the last thing they want to do. You've got to try and make their lives easier. And then in terms of ops, you want to make operations a lot simpler. So as those changes go in, operations can actually see what's going on, see all the deployments, and if there's a major incident, they can go back and have a look, because as we know, most major incidents happen because of change. So you want to be able to have that visibility. And then as we move across into support teams and business teams, so support teams in terms of the end user support, how we're using, for example, the virtual service agent to assist employees to be able to find information quicker, to be able to reduce those number of tickets that agents have to actually work on. It does free agents up to do a lot of the work, more valuable work than just the work that, I want to unlock a password, as an example. And then moving into business teams. So as an example, so just quickly, who uses JSM here? Just as so quite a few. Jira, Confluence, a couple more. Okay, so is onboarding an IT task? No, not an IT task. Interesting, when I asked the question yesterday, I actually got quite a few people that said yes. But no, onboarding is not an IT task, right? Onboarding generally starts in HR or even before that in recruitment, and so different teams to IT, right? So it's not an IT task, but a lot of businesses and a lot of customers I talk to, the only time a work item, we call a work item now, or a ticket is logged, is when it's request for a laptop. That's the only time a ticket is logged. Everything else in that entire process is normally done by email. So how do you track an end-to-end onboarding process if you've got emails firing off to different teams, and the only time you ever log a ticket is to the IT team to get a laptop? So how do you make sure that you have a service project for every single team? So as an example, facilities. Facilities should have their own service project. They serve the employees in most organizations in terms of moving offices, or just in terms of like a desk is broken or a telephone's broken. All of those requests need to go to facilities. Why not make them a service team? Give them the ability to be able to serve their customers, which are the employees, and then run through a process. So an onboarding process, it might be, give that new employee a new badge. So how are you tracking that entire process in work items in JSM? And that's what you're able to do. I quite like this slide. This is a new one, but I think I won't talk through everything, but obviously we've got JSM. What you'll notice is we've got also CSM, Customer Service Management. So we actually started talking about this in team a couple of months ago. And this is in JSM, you can look at external customer service management. So, if you're not just internal, so employees, but actually looking at your external customers that might need support, right? So I'm sure Xero do this a lot with your external customers. What are we doing around that? Now we have that capability at the moment in JSM, but how do you extend that? And I've called it sort of supercharge that. And this is a new component that we're actually bringing up. It's called an app, so we're actually going to have these as apps. Assets obviously isn't already an app. It's part of the solution, but we're calling it an app, and it will be dedicated to external customer service management. One of the other issues we've got with ESM is when I speak to a lot of customers, they will say, IT run our service management product because it's very focused on ITSM. Now, when you want to start moving into other support teams and other business teams, IT are very, very hesitant to take on that additional work, like really hesitant, because I don't want to have to help HR with configuring all these workflows and helping them with their knowledge base and helping them with their workflows. I don't want to do that. They want to just focus on ITSM. They don't have the resources necessarily to start extending into business. So we see a lot of friction with trying to extend into ESM. But the idea is to be able to give those teams a team-managed project. You'll probably see within JSM and Jira, you can have team-managed and company-managed projects. But give those teams, those service teams, the ability to create their own workflows. And sort of ask the question around how easy a JSM is to use. We have a mantra at JSM that we really try to make the solutions easy to use. And that comes from an administration perspective as well. But being able to give those, once you kind of set up, give the ability for those teams to do things themselves. Create their own knowledge base articles. Create their own workflows. Right, and make it really easy. And that's how you'll start to get, I suppose, the proliferation of service management into these different service teams. And obviously, in terms of the way we talk about it, is empowering the modern support. So how do we do some of these? Has anyone used our templates? Looked at the templates? So we have many templates in JSM. They come with pre-built workflows. This is a way you can get started very quickly. You can spin up a new service project for marketing in under 30 seconds. I mean, that's honestly how quick it is. But then what you would do is take that template. I think the idea is to get to, even if you get something, you get a team to 60%. Once people have an idea of how to do things and they have some examples, they can then move that and really mature that in terms of the way they do their work. So that's the idea. So this is something we've actually just started to introduce, and it's called Journeys. So Journeys is really, how do we help business teams and IT configure things inside a journey? Because it's a lot easier to follow the bouncing ball, if you want to call it that. And I've just got a little video I recorded it like just creating it, and I thought I'd just show you, so something a little bit different. You can do a lot of this with the automation. So if you go into automation, you can go through the automation. It is low code, no code, the automation, but it does take a little bit of getting used to. So this is a way of starting to make it a little bit easier for all teams to be able to do this. This is actually kind of an onboarding one I did. So you'll see I've just clicked on, I know it might be a little bit small, apologies, but I'm just creating a journey here. So I think I created this as a new employee onboarding. And the idea is to be able to start to, when I say link different service projects and request types easier together and start creating this, what we would call the onboarding journey as an example. So we've also started to introduce connectors. So this is part of what we're doing with HR as well. You would have seen there was a Workday connector. So who used Workday here? Yeah, you guys use Workday. So if you take an onboarding process, so as you can see here, I'm linking something to a new badge request. So facilities. They've got their own service project. They've got their own request types. But as part of the onboarding process, I'm including them, and I'm going to request a new access badge as part of this journey. Right? I can then take in a lot of variables, so you can start to link some of the fields that they have and put them into the main journey or the main ticket, and then start that process. So the whole idea here is to just make things a lot easier to do. Right? Because like we said, it can be really hard to start getting, to get started. So going back to Workday, if you do the Workday connector, this allows you then to start something in JSM, kick something else, another workflow off in Workday, and then it could come back from Workday back into JSM to kick off the process. Because a lot of the HR tasks are done in Workday as well. All right, so here I'm just going back into IT operations, and I think I'm logging onboarding new employee. So again, it's really easy. It's not coding this. This is all naturally done in JSM as part of the config to a project. And you can see I'm actually doing it in the human resources project. Right? So I've included facilities now, and I've included the onboarding, because they've got a task in the IT for onboarding to get the new laptop, and I've included that. And then I just publish the journey. Right? So then that can be viewable as a request gets started in, for example, the portal, or it gets started manually as part of an agent. They can run through this journey. It will run through this journey. So you can see I'm creating it now, and it's come. All the different fields are now in one page or in one ticket. So I'm just creating the employee name, when they're going to start. I'll just do a couple of small ones here. Assets. We talked about assets. Assets is unbelievably powerful. If you're not using JSM Premium or you're not using assets, being able to use assets in forms and in JSM for every service team, not just IT, is where you should be looking, right? Because it's really scalable, it's really easy to use. Right, so I've created the request. There's all the fields that I've created, and what you'll see at the bottom is now all the linked tickets. So you can see there's the linked tickets to facilities and facilities in IT, right? And then you can see in the comments section is the starting of the journey. So you can start to manage that journey as it goes through the process. Right? So this is something new we've just introduced. I know the main product managers actually in Sydney, we've chatted about this quite a lot, and we're trying to get feedback from customers on it. So if you start to use it, that's other part of my role. You can speak to EG to help you with this. But once that's done, give us feedback on it. We're trying to expand it as we go. Organize, request, and match your work. So this is quite important as well. You'll see IT like to work in queues. IT love queues, right? But HR doesn't necessarily want to work in queues. They would want to work in sort of more Kanban style boards. You can do that in JSM. Change the view, do it like that. We've also got this calendar view. I always use this as an example. So if you had a start and end to something, you can put it into a calendar. So facilities, as an example, so if they wanted to book this room, say you wanted to book a room, and they wanted to see all those different events that are happening in this room over time, they can actually have those requests started and view it in a calendar. So maybe they want to have a slightly different view and view it from a calendar perspective, because that makes sense to them as a business team. So again, meeting those business teams, where they work and how they work. AI summaries. Who has turned on AI? 1, 2, so only 2. So that was the same that I had yesterday out of a group about the size. only about 4 people had turned on AI. I know companies are going through a process to be able to enable it. I'm happy to talk on the security aspects of our AI, but I've got a bit of a slide on that at the end if we need to. It can add huge value to an organization. I love to hear a story where a customer has enabled something, and this is what we see internally, right? So we dog food our own tools or our own solutions. And the virtual service agent saving 23% of tickets or 20% of tickets being solved via virtual service agent. That's huge. That's 20% of tickets that a set of agents don't need to actually go and do. And also meeting people there. So we'll have a look at some of the ways you can use the virtual service agent. AI summaries, being able to summarize a ticket. I find this very practical in major incidents when there's hundreds of comments in a ticket because the ticket's long running. Being able to summarize as an incident manager all those comments in the summary view is huge value for an incident manager. In a normal request, it's probably not as value because there's only a couple of comments, but on a major incident, it can make a huge difference. Crafting responses. So within the comments section of JSM, if you're making comments on a ticket, internal or customer-facing comments, you can use our AI to draft responses, change the language that they're kind of using to more empathetic, etc. So that's the type of stuff that we can use using our LLM models. I quite like because I cover the whole of APAC, Southeast Asia. One of the great benefits of using this is translation. It's probably not that relevant here, but you can translate from different languages using it. So that's a practical way that a lot of my Southeast Asia customers are using.
Does it cover most languages?
It covers, when you say most,
Does it cover Portuguese?
I don't know. I don't know about Portuguese, but I think there's about 15 or 20 languages, and they're expanding it over time. Conversational ticketing. We talked about the virtual service agent in Slack. Virtual service agent is available for Slack and MS Teams. What's quite interesting is, I kind of always use this analogy. My daughter never wants to use a telephone, right? She's got a mobile phone. Who uses it? No one phones anyone. My daughter just wants to message me. If you look at Atlassian, it's a very young workforce. I'm probably one of the older ones. And they don't want to use the telephone to phone a help desk or even use the portal, to be honest, right? So they'll want to use Slack. The younger generation want to use messaging. Literally the virtual service agent, if you look at our product teams, and we've got lots and lots of product teams, nearly every single product team has their own Slack channel. They'll have the virtual service agent enabled, and that virtual service agent for that Slack, for that team, will be trying to answer the questions so that they don't have to. Reduce the amount of work that the product team has to ask stupid questions coming from sales about how do you do this and how do you do that. So they're trying to do, that's what you're trying to do. And every team can be a service team. So you can either set it up that you have one ask channel, or you could have one ask channel for HR, and you could have one for IT, for facilities. Go back to every single service team, they can have their own virtual service agent, looking at their own knowledge base, curating their own knowledge base, and that's how you start to get AI working within their organization. We have released the virtual service agent that can answer emails. So who uses emails still from... Anyone? You're laughing, but anyone? Yeah, still using email, right? We talk about the new ways, but a lot of people still use email. But you can use AI in email too. So virtual service agent can respond to emails. So an email comes through, it will automatically log a ticket if you want it to in JSM. So that's one thing, it's the intake of tickets. That's been around for a while. But you can also get the virtual service agent to actually answer the question via email. The employee doesn't get the answer, they'll click, okay, no, I still need help, and that will then raise a ticket. So even in that type of channel, you can do that. So that we've released also.
How intelligent is the email reading of logged tickets? Is it, like if I'm a human and an email comes through, I'd be taking, you've got random people who log random stuff every email,
yeah.
Right? How good has it got to being able to pluck from those emails relevant stuff in order to make the ticket intelligent?
So I think the first thing is that you can also have, per service project, I think it's at the moment, it was at 6 emails per, so you can actually have separate email addresses for different, say for HR, marketing, facilities. So that helps, right? Because now you're looking at, okay, this is the email channel. I can now respond based on what I've got in HR, or the HR request. It is pretty good. So we use something called intents. So you can be very prescriptive about the way you answer a question. So if you see that you've got a lot of tickets coming in for password reset, right? You don't necessarily have to rely on the LLM to actually answer it. You can create it, it's GUI based, you kind of move it around the different elements. It's low code, no code, so it's not like you're coding anything. And you can make it respond in a specific way, right? So that's one way. It bases the way it responds on what the response has got in the LLM from an intent-based process. So what you've actually defined. You're never going to get all the intents right. What it will then do is it will default to your knowledge base. Obviously, users within the analytics of the AI will work out whether it's got an intent and whether it needs to go to the knowledge base. As long as your knowledge base is fairly good, it's pretty good at answering the question. We've got a lot of developers on the AI side trying to make sure that it's answering questions the right way. And also the way it answers the question also. We know that people work in different tools. So we've now got an EAP on the virtual service agent to pull out of SharePoint as well as Google Drive. So if you do have those knowledge bases that are not in Confluence, you can start to pull those in. We've got an EAP for that at the moment. Just another way we're trying to be able to get that knowledge. When you talked about, how good is the AI? It's only as good as the knowledge, but if you've got other knowledge bases, you can pull it in. I would be careful though. Again, you could have a huge SharePoint database, again, that's just full of junk. And so you do have to curate some of the information to make sure that you're starting to clean things up. So one of the other ones we've got is customer sentiment analysis. So what is that? So if you look at the way most companies do, how well are we doing? What is the CSAT scores of what you're doing? They will send out a survey after the fact. What we're trying to do here is actually have customer sentiment analysis in real time. In the ticket, you'll see there's actually a field. You'll see that it says negative there. It's having a look at the comments that are ongoing in the ticket, and it is working out it's trying to work out what the sentiment is for that ticket. Is it positive, neutral, or negative? It's just the three. Very simple. But the point is the agent can start to see, hold on, this customer's not happy with me. If he starts swearing at me, then that's pretty obvious. But based on the way the comments are being written, that's what the AI is working out. Some people have followed the sun models. You get maybe a new agent comes on and needs to now solve the ticket, which is still ongoing. That agent immediately can just have a quick look at that field and say, I've now taken this ticket over. Is this customer that I'm speaking to, is he kind of happy? Is it neutral? Is he happy? Or is he pissed off? It gives the agent a little bit of background without having to go through all the comments to work out, what the previous agent did. You can probably then throw something at the agent and say, well, thanks for giving me a ticket like this, but that's the idea. But if you take that a little bit further though, and you look at management of customer service desks, of different support teams, what you can also do is which I find quite cool, is you can create a queue. Now remember, this is not just IT, this is HR, all of the different service teams can do this. They create a queue, all right, or a board, if they're working in that, and you can then filter based on the sentiment.
What factors go into that sentiment and how reliable is it?
Look, it's only as reliable as AI, but it is, AI's come a long way, but it is basically looking at the language that people are using to try and work out whether that language is, someone that's very frustrated. Or someone that's, people, might say, oh, thanks very much. It'll take that language and try and work that out. So being able to create that queue, so for the manager to come in the morning or have a look in the afternoon and go, all right, how many tickets are I don't know how many you've got, 100 agents working on stuff. How many are sitting in negative, right? How many really upset customers do we currently have? And quickly have a look, and then maybe they go into the ticket, have a look at it, speak to the agent and say, okay, maybe I need to get involved in this now. Right, so just be able to do that. It's just simple, practical ways we're trying to use the AI. Work triage. So there's now a new button on the top. Most people probably wouldn't have even noticed it, but you can actually start to triage tickets. So if people, I think this is especially when service desks get quite overwhelmed, you can actually click on the triage button. It will take all the different work items that are actually open, and it will start to try and fill in some of the fields for you. Remember, we always have this philosophy of human in the middle, so we're not doing this automatically, close all the tickets based on this. So it's trying to, fill those fields in for you, and then you can just accept them or change them. But it allows the agents to really become a little bit faster when they need to maybe close tickets or move tickets from different statuses.
Is it based on SLAs you've got registered against?
So it will use all the information in the ticket. Yeah, so anything that is generally available in the ticket, comments, SLAs, the AI kind of takes everything in context of that ticket or work item. So what we've just released as well is if you go into the knowledge base in Confluence, it looks at all your tickets that you've had over the last whatever it is. I think it's months or years, and it will start to suggest topics or knowledge base articles that you need to create. Because that's the problem, right? You don't know what knowledge base I need to improve on. So this actually goes and takes it, works out based on the tickets and it looks at the knowledge base you've got already, and it'll start to suggest items.
Sorry. Can it look at agent answers and then just create the document?
Great point. Right, great point. So the next thing it does is you'll see there it says view draft on the right hand side. You say view draft and the AI creates the knowledge base article for you. Right? Now, is it pretty? I'll be honest, no. It's, it will put the links, it will put the answers, the things that people have answered from the tickets in. It'll take some of the knowledge base article stuff that you might have, other ones, and add that in as well. The point is, though, it's made it a lot easier now. You've got something that you know that you need to create. It's given you a template with the data in it. You can now clean it up and then publish it.
Just confirming that it is checking all of the knowledge base, so that there's no duplication.
Yeah. So that's what it's kind of doing. It's working out whether someone's answering things with a knowledge base article maybe, whether they're answering things in text. Most agents should go, okay, the customers come with a question. In theory, they haven't found it in the portal or on the knowledge base. If they do find it though, they should be putting in a knowledge base article to the user and sending them a knowledge base article back so that they can run through it. It's using all of that. So are people adding in a knowledge base article? Right, so things like that. So that's what the AI is using across it. Never going to be perfect, but the idea is it's trying to help you create the knowledge base a lot easier.
Would you have something in your roadmap that would, you could say, because I know in Confluence you can copy format. If
Yes.
we look at the format of your other pages, could it be smart enough to just
pull
copy
that in.
format?
I think we'll get to that. At the moment, I've noticed it's not pulling in those templates to try and make it like nice and pretty and keep it in a template format. It's very much just a blank Confluence page. But what you'll see as this is pretty new, we'll start to do that. So as we move into Rovo, does everyone know that Rovo is now provided in a way for free? So before we used to charge for Rovo, it was $20 per user per month. It's now free. If you've got Jira, Confluence, JSM, all those users, you get Rovo for free. There's some limits on the amount you could use it, and then you could look at Teamwork Collection. I don't know if anyone's looked at Teamwork Collection. So you can bundle Jira, Confluence, and Loom. Has anyone used Loom? I can have a whole discussion on Loom. Loom is fantastic. Honestly, it's fantastic. Being able to use Loom in knowledge base articles, instead of going text, screenshot, text, screenshot, get your the support guys to record a Loom video, embed it in the knowledge base. Again, meeting people where they are. Young people love to watch videos. Give them videos. All right, so just moving on to Rovo. We are, for example, there's an ops guide agent. There's a huge other things I could actually show you, but there's an ops guide agent, and this will actually, one of the functions of the ops guide agent is it will create a PIR for you. So post-incident review, you can see on the right-hand side, it's done the narrative with the SLAs. There's a lot of other stuff underneath that which I couldn't screenshot, but it will take all the information from the ticket, from the comments, and from the Slack channel that you are using as part of major incident swarming, what we call major incident swarming, when you swarm an incident inside Slack. It'll take all that information, curate it, and then you can dump it straight into a Confluence page. And then you can use that as part of your knowledge base if you wanted to. All right, so Rovo, has anyone used Rovo or heard of Rovo? Yeah, a couple of people. So Rovo's, I suppose, our answer to Microsoft, no, I just forgot the name. Copilots, there we go. Microsoft Copilot. So being able to look at the information that is inside the entirety of the JSM platform, so whether it's Jira, Confluence, Loom, all of our solutions, plus external connectors as well. So as you saw within Virtual Service Agent, we're connecting to different documents like SharePoint and Google. This you can connect into Slack. We've got 50 or 60 odd connectors, and being able to pull that in. It's part of the search function. That's going to start to look at being embedded into the Virtual Service Agent in the portal as well. So we're starting to combine those. But then there's the chat function as well as agents. So like that ops agent, that's built using the Studio, which is an easy low-code, no-code way of building Rovo agents. This is now available for free. So if you turn on AI, you'll get Rovo. Out-of-the-box agents, I'm going to go through this very, very quickly. So we're building agents for you. You don't have to go build the agents yourself most of the time. We're actually like building agents, and then partners can build agents too. So if you speak to your partner and you don't want to have to build an agent, speak to your partner, they can build agents for you. So this was one, talking about HR, and someone created, this used internally, an onboarding buddy agent, and it answered 2,000 questions in the first month at Atlassian. We have a lot of new employees that come on board, right? And it was answering questions for them. That's the idea. What if knowledge base could update itself? Okay, so this has actually got some video. This is how we're creating the agent. So it's using LLM. So look at all support tickets we have sold in the last 24 hours and identify common topics. All right, so the agent starts to build it, and it's called it I think knowledge base librarian, if I remember correctly. Right, so it creates the knowledge base librarian. You can then create triggers and or use automation within Rovo as well. And then what it's going to do, if I remember correctly, right, now we're going to automate it. So what they're doing is every day at 9 a.m., it's going to go out, it's going to analyze all the tickets for the last 24 hours. I'm going to add a component here. Now it's using smart values. So, I mean, you can get quite complicated with the way it's actually starting to look at the data. Okay? It's going to compare some values and look in the existing knowledge base. Now you can start to do actions. So you could send Slack messages. But what we're going to do here is actually, I think we've done it, it's going to automatically create the Confluence page. So it's looked at all your knowledge. Every day you've scheduled it. It will look at all your knowledge, look at all your tickets, compare it to your knowledge base. So all those suggested topics, and what it will automatically do is create the Confluence page for you. So you don't even have to go and do the draft. So it does this all as a process every single day. Now you could do this for a week, but this one we've created to do every day. And then what it does, will then create a Jira ticket or a JSM ticket to go to a team, whoever looks after this. Now that might be HR knowledge management, or it might be the IT team, to go and say, right, I've done this for you. I've created this content automatically in Confluence for you. Please go and review it. So you can choose to do that, or you could just dump it. So again, going back to your point, if you just wanted to use templates, this is where you can start to use the templates in Confluence to automatically do this. So this is just a practical way of how we're starting to use agents across the platform. It's not just JSM. You can do this in Jira as well. And I think I'm basically kind of on time because we've been answering questions. So thank you.
If I'm doing that knowledge base automation where it's creating, it's intelligently finding gaps in my knowledge,
Yeah.
does it have the ability to look for external sources as well?
When you say
search the web as a component of that?
I think you can, but because of the security levels of the way Rovo works, we don't generally go outside into public land.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, to be honest, I haven't actually tried it. You might be able to, but I actually don't know.
Can it at least go into Atlassian documentation to...
No.
Okay.
So anything that's public, because that's public.
Okay.
I think there must be a way of doing it though. You probably do. I'd have to have a look for you, honestly.
Is that?
I haven't actually had that question because most people are more like asking a question. How do we make sure we keep it internal, not go external?
The picture's blowing my mind. I was
Yeah.
marketing, and I'm like, oh, I can get it to source news articles and write summaries.
Yeah, yeah. So interestingly enough, when you ask about the public-facing pulling of information for knowledge base, the CSM agent that I talked about is slightly different. So that does look at external sources. So because it's already externally facing to external non-employees within CSM, you can tell it to go external. That one I know you can.
If there's connectors to SharePoint and
Google, yeah.
So that will go external at least to those, is that?
So that's not external. So the way we work within, say, for example, Rovo will always respect the permissions that a user has. So, if you're using Okta, it knows who the person who's asking the question. In the virtual service agents and in Rovo, it will respect those permissions. So obviously at the moment, a virtual service agent, except for the EAP, is only looking at Confluence. So if a user does not have access to a Confluence page, it is not going to show them that Confluence page. Which is why what's interesting is, if you're using the virtual service agent in Slack, and remember, Slack is just a channel that people are asking questions, the Confluence knowledge base that you have to link to that has to be open to everyone. You could go and make it so that it's limited, but the problem is, in the Slack channel, it's answering the question because that person has access to the knowledge, but everyone can see what the answer is in the Slack channel. So we've got a limit on that Confluence page has to be open to anyone.
First, where someone doesn't have not the right pay grade or whatever to get access to the information, the information's there, there's something to flag someone that someone asks you a question, which they probably should have access to, but the systems haven't allowed them. No, it won't do that. In the virtual service agent, you can see all the conversations that it's had and start to work out whether, for example, it's actually been answered. And we've actually got some nice reporting around what has been answered or what hasn't been and what the success rates are. So you could probably start to look at some of that, but it's not going to flag it automatically. But that's probably a great feature that we could actually add. Just because organisations are so siloed and...
Yeah, and the information's there.
You should have.
Yeah, but you should have access to it. So anything in Rovo, though, when it starts accessing Google or SharePoint, that user has context of that user besides just Confluence. It will use those permissions to be able to surface that information to the agents.
Reach out to the web.
No. Remember that SharePoint will, it's internal, right? So that would use those internal permissions.
Is there a CI/CD pipeline with a roadmap for sandbox and production environments? Like automating?
Automating from going from sandbox straight into production? Great question. So I think what you're really asking is being able to, when you do a config or whatever it is in sandbox, you want to be able to do it in production or move that change into production. And what you're referring to, sorry, your name?
Fergus.
What Fergus was referring to is, if you do a config and you want to do it in sandbox, that's our kind of UAT type environment and then move it. You've got to kind of do it in here in the sandbox and then move it manually, make the config over here. It's been a big complaint from many customers. There is a roadmap item to have that fixed. To be able to move that, as well as moving data, for example, from assets in production and be able to move those into sandbox as well, to be able to start using those in sandbox. There's a whole team just looking at that.